Kody wants to walk Meri down the aisle in next wedding, cries over their split. In a jaw-dropping and emotionally raw moment that no one could have predicted, Sister Wives patriarch Kody Brown is finally opening up about the heartbreak of losing Meri Brown, and now says he wants to be the one to walk her down the aisle at her next wedding. The revelation, laced with tears, regret, and soul-searching, is sending shockwaves through the fandom that's followed their relationship since the early days of the TLC reality series. After years of tension, emotional distance, and an officially acknowledged separation, no one expected Kody to be the one advocating for a gesture as intimate and symbolic as walking Meri to her next husband. But in a moment of rare vulnerability, he's admitted that letting go of Meri hasn't been as easy as it looked. Behind the bravado and angry outbursts was a man quietly mourning a bond he never imagined would truly end. The relationship between Kody and Meri has long been complicated. They were the original couple, the foundation of the Brown family. Their early days were filled with laughter, dreams, and a deep spiritual connection. Meri was the one who believed in the vision of plural marriage alongside Kody, and together they built what they believed was a divinely guided family structure. But as viewers watched over nearly 2 decades, that once-loving relationship eroded slowly, painfully, and in full public view. There were critical turning points along the way: the legal divorce in 2014 so Kody could legally marry ROBYN and adopt her children, the catfishing scandal that fractured their trust, and years of miscommunication, unspoken resentment, and an absence of emotional intimacy that Meri begged to fix while Kody seemed to drift further away. Eventually, it became clear that whatever they once had was no longer sustainable. Meri wanted love. Kody claimed he no longer had romantic feelings for her. Their relationship was declared over, but in typical Brown family fashion, even that came with layers of ambiguity. Now, in a series of candid conversations and filmed confessionals that may become part of the upcoming season of Sister Wives, Kody is revisiting the past with new clarity. And it's clear he's been grieving more than he's let on. In one particularly emotional segment, Kody broke down in tears while speaking about Meri, his voice cracking as he reflected on everything they lost. The rawness of his emotion was startling for a man who, in recent years, has been accused of being cold, dismissive, and emotionally unavailable. "I didn't know how much she meant to me," he reportedly said through tears. "Not until she was really gone." Sources close to the production say Kody has been revisiting old home videos, family photos, and moments that previously seemed forgotten. And what's surfacing for him isn't just nostalgia, it's pain. Real pain. Regret. A recognition that, despite everything, Meri was there at the beginning. She believed in him when no one else did. She sacrificed more than anyone could ever understand. And perhaps most heartbreakingly, she waited for him, hoped for him, even when he gave her every reason not to. Now, in what some are calling an emotional redemption arc, Kody has expressed a desire to honor Meri in a way that shocks even his most devoted followers. He wants to walk her down the aisle at her next wedding. Not because he feels entitled, he says, but because he feels responsible. Not for her choices, but for the way things ended. For the hurt. The silence. The years of detachment that left them both wounded. "It would be my greatest honor," he reportedly told producers, "to walk her down the aisle. Not as her husband, but as someone who still loves her, in a different way. As someone who wants her to be happy." The idea might seem preposterous to longtime fans. After all, wasn't this the same man who, just seasons ago, coldly declared he had no desire to be in a romantic relationship with Meri? Wasn't he the one who distanced himself emotionally while clinging to his bond with ROBYN? How does a man go from indifference to wanting to play the role of father figure in his ex-wife's new life chapter? The answer lies in the quiet reckoning Kody seems to be going through. As the polygamist structure of the Brown family has collapsed, with Christine long gone, Yanel separating herself, and Meri now walking her own path, Kody is finally facing the rubble. And with that comes a realization that hits harder than anything he faced in the past: he wasn't just losing wives. He was losing his legacy, his family, his support system, and possibly, a core part of himself. Friends of Kody describe him as emotionally adrift lately, despite putting on a brave face. While his marriage to ROBYN still stands, there are whispers even that relationship is strained under the weight of everything they've endured. And Mary, once the woman he couldn't bring himself to emotionally re-engage with, has emerged as a symbol of what once was. Of the time when hope was high, and their shared vision hadn't yet crumbled. The idea of walking her down the aisle, in this context, becomes more than just a gesture. It's a redemption. A closure. A way to say, I failed you, but I still see you. It's also, perhaps, a way for Kody to be part of something positive again, to be a witness to new love, rather than just the architect of lost ones. As for Mary, sources say she's been surprised by Kody's offer, but not dismissive. She's reportedly said that while she's not currently planning a wedding, she is open to love, and that if someone comes into her life who truly values her, she won't let the past stop her from embracing it. Whether she'd let Kody walk her down the aisle is a decision that may depend on the depth of healing they can achieve. But she's not ruling anything out. In public appearances and recent social media posts, Mary has been glowing, reinvigorated, empowered, and unapologetically herself. She's been traveling, pursuing her business ventures, and surrounding herself with people who uplift her. She no longer looks like the woman who waited in silence for scraps of attention. She looks like someone who stepped into the next chapter of her life on her own terms. And perhaps that's what makes Kody's offer so emotionally complex. He's finally realizing what she's become now that he's not in the picture. He's seeing her strength, her resilience, and maybe, just maybe, he's seeing what he lost. Fans are divided on the matter. Some see Kody's offer as a genuine, heartfelt moment of accountability, a long overdue act of kindness. Others are skeptical, questioning whether this is yet another attempt by Kody to center himself in a narrative that no longer belongs to him. Still, the raw emotion he's showing, the visible tears, the cracking voice all suggest a man who is grappling with a level of grief he can no longer ignore. The production team behind Sister Wives is reportedly leaning into this storyline heavily. It's rare that a reality show can capture such full-circle moments, and the idea of Kody facing his own mistakes, especially where Mary is concerned, is proving to be irresistible. If Mary does find love again, and if there is a wedding in the works, there's no doubt the cameras will be rolling. Yanel Brown shares never-before-seen photos of late son Garrison found on his camera. The heartbreak that comes with losing a child never truly fades, it only changes shape over time. For Sister Wives star Yanel Brown, the pain is still as fresh and raw as the day the devastating news broke. Her beloved son Robert Garrison Brown was gone. And just when she thought she had processed as much of the grief as she possibly could, fate had other plans. In a heart-wrenching twist, Yanel recently stumbled upon something that brought back a flood of emotions, something so intimate, so personal, that it brought her to tears all over again. Hidden deep within her late son's camera were dozens of never-before-seen photographs. Memories captured from his perspective, frozen in time. These weren't just random snapshots, they were pieces of his heart, reflections of his quiet joy, his solitude, his adventurous soul. And for a grieving mother like Yanel, they were a gift and a gut punch all at once. She decided to share some of these images with the world, not for attention, but as a tribute. A tribute to a beautiful life cut far too short. A tribute to her son's creative spirit. And a reminder to everyone watching that grief isn't linear, that healing doesn't always look like moving on. The discovery came during a quiet moment at home, just weeks after Garrison's untimely death shook the entire Brown family and left fans of Sister Wives stunned. Yanel had been going through some of her son's belongings, still trying to make sense of the empty space he left behind. That's when she found his old camera, tucked away, seemingly untouched for months. Dust covered the surface, but the memories it held were vivid, untouched by time. Opening the camera's storage card was like unlocking a time capsule. What Yanel found were serene nature shots, silly selfies with friends, and deeply introspective images that revealed a side of Garrison few had truly known. One photo, in particular, struck her to her core. It was a picture of a sunset, taken from the roof of their house. The hues were warm, gentle, fading into dusk, much like Garrison's own life. It was as if he had captured that moment knowing one day it would mean something far greater than he could have ever imagined. As she sifted through the hundreds of images, Yanel began to piece together a portrait of her son that extended beyond the moments fans saw on television. Garrison had always been the quiet, steady presence in the Brown family. He wasn't one to chase the spotlight or stir drama. Instead, he built a life rooted in simplicity and authenticity. Through these photos, Yanel saw just how deeply her son appreciated the small things, the quiet mornings, the beauty in shadows, the laughter of his cats, the way light filtered through pine trees on a hike. One of the most emotional revelations came when Yanel found a series of photos taken during a family camping trip, a trip that hadn't seemed like much at the time. But through Garrison's lens, the memories were vibrant. There were photos of his siblings laughing, of Kody sitting by a fire lost in thought, of Yanel herself smiling in a rare unguarded moment. It was a side of Garrison that wasn't always visible, a storyteller capturing his world not in words, but in frames. Yanel shared the discovery on social media in a heartfelt post that left fans in tears. "I found Garrison's camera today," she wrote. "It took me a few minutes to open it. I just wasn't ready. But I'm so glad I did. The photos he took are beautiful. They made me cry, but they also made me smile. He had such an eye. He saw beauty everywhere. I miss him so much it physically hurts, but this feels like a message from him. A reminder that he was here, that he lived, that he felt joy. I wanted to share a few of these with you because I think he would have wanted people to see the world the way he saw it." Fans flooded the comments with messages of support and shared grief. Many who had followed the Brown family for years had grown attached to the children, watching them grow up on screen. Garrison had always been one of the quieter ones, but he left a mark that now feels even more significant. The photos Yanel posted struck a chord, not just because of their beauty, but because of what they represented: a life that touched so many, a soul that quietly shimmered behind the camera lens. Among the photos was one that particularly stood out: Garrison sitting in his favorite armchair, surrounded by books and his beloved cats. He was reading, a soft smile on his face, completely at peace. It was a portrait of contentment, of a young man who had found a moment of stillness in a world that often felt too loud. That image, more than any, brought Yanel to tears. "I remember that day," she wrote. "He didn't say much. Just curled up with a book, petting the cats. He always said those were the best days, the ones when nothing big happened." This painful but poignant discovery has also prompted renewed conversations about grief, mental health, and the often invisible burdens people carry. Yanel, in her raw honesty, hasn't shied away from discussing how hard the past few months have been. She's been open about the waves of sadness, the guilt, the what ifs that plague every parent who loses a child. But she's also been equally determined to celebrate Garrison's life, not just mourn his death. She revealed that she's considering creating a photo book with all of Garrison's images, something the family can hold on to, pass down, and use to remember him in a light he truly deserves. "I want his story to be more than just the way it ended," Yanel explained. "I want people to see how he lived, how he smiled, how he loved. He wasn't just my son, he was a beautiful soul with so much to give. And even in death, he's still giving." The Brown family has understandably been navigating a difficult emotional terrain since Garrison's passing. While tensions within the family had been a consistent theme of the Sister Wives series, in the wake of this tragedy, they've all come together in grief. Even Kody Brown, often criticized for his strained relationships with some of his children, has spoken with visible emotion about the loss. According to sources close to the family, he has been trying to mend fences, recognizing now more than ever how fragile life truly is. Yanel's strength throughout this ordeal has been nothing short of inspiring. While she has leaned on her faith, her remaining children, and a supportive fanbase, the grief remains a constant companion. But these photos, this unexpected gift, have become a form of therapy. They allow her to feel close to her son, to remember the quiet joy he brought into the world, and to share a part of him with others. Garrison's death has also led to an outpouring of similar stories from fans who've lost loved ones. In her messages and posts, Yanel has encouraged others to look through old photo albums, to revisit the memories their loved ones left behind, to see their world through their eyes once more. "There's healing in remembrance," she wrote, "even when it hurts." As for the rest of the Brown family, many have reached out in their own ways. Christine Brown, now remarried and living a very different life, shared a message of love and support to Yanel, calling her the strongest woman she knows. "You've carried this grief with so much grace," she wrote. "And I know Garrison is proud of you." Would you stay in one of Sister Wives Christine Brown's rental properties? Fans are flocking to find out what it's like inside her world. Christine Brown has redefined her legacy, not just as a former polygamist wife but now as a woman stepping into her full independence. Since her powerful and public departure from Kody Brown, the matriarch has not only been rewriting her personal story but has also been reshaping the spaces around her, literally. From her move back to Utah to her current life with David Woolley, Christine has made bold real estate choices that reflect the woman she has become. And now, one question is capturing fans' curiosity and imagination. Would you stay in one of Christine Brown's rental properties? This isn't just about bricks and mortar. It's about the emotional and symbolic weight that these properties carry. Fans of Sister Wives have long watched Christine navigate a complicated marriage, struggle to find her voice, and ultimately make the brave decision to walk away from a life that no longer served her. Her properties, from her temporary homes in Flagstaff to her beautiful rentals in Utah, represent different chapters of her freedom. They are more than places to live, they are sanctuaries of self-discovery. Imagine stepping into one of those homes. Would you feel the energy of a woman who rebuilt herself? Could you walk through those rooms without hearing the echoes of past confessions, heartfelt talks with her children, or whispered prayers in the night as Christine wrestled with the unraveling of her marriage? Every rental property she's lived in or owned since her departure from Kody is like a physical manifestation of her healing journey. To stay there even for a weekend feels like more than just a getaway. It feels like an invitation into the story of Christine's comeback. What's interesting is how many fans have become deeply invested in the idea. With the rise of platforms like Airbnb and Vrbo, and with celebrities increasingly turning their former homes into rentals, the concept of staying in a star's property has taken on a new level of intrigue. But Christine isn't just any reality TV star. She's the heart of a narrative that millions have connected with on an emotional level. Her strength, her humor, her maternal devotion, these qualities are deeply embedded in the spaces she's touched. So when fans hear rumors that one of her former rentals may now be available to book, or if she's considered turning her past properties into retreats, their response is more than just casual interest. It's personal. There's a buzz that has slowly started gaining traction online, especially in fan forums and Facebook groups dedicated to Sister Wives. Some users claim to have tracked down listings that closely match the decor seen in Christine's past social media posts. Others theorize that she could easily turn a property into a Christine Brown experience, complete with cozy furnishings, her signature turquoise accents, and maybe even a fridge stocked with her favorite snacks. The speculation is wild, the theories are growing, and Christine herself has remained coy on whether she'd ever pursue the idea. But if she did, it's almost guaranteed to become a hot destination. Think about what such a property would represent. This wouldn't just be a vacation rental. It would be a full-circle moment for Christine's supporters, many of whom see her as a role model for reclaiming personal power after years of emotional compromise. The idea of sipping tea in her former kitchen, sitting by the same fireplace where she once posed with Truly, or standing on the porch where she smiled after her move back to Utah, it all carries a kind of symbolic weight. People want to feel closer to her story, and staying in one of her homes would be a way to do exactly that. What's even more compelling is the emotional transformation these homes represent. One only has to look at the timelines of her rentals to understand how they mirror Christine's personal evolution. When she first left Flagstaff, her temporary Utah rental was modest, almost subdued. It reflected a woman cautiously stepping into the unknown, testing her wings, unsure but hopeful. Fast forward a few months, and the new rental she shared after meeting David Woolley was brighter, more stylish, more confident. The walls practically spoke of renewal. Fans noticed the difference instantly and took it as a visual metaphor for the newfound happiness she was radiating. That change didn't happen overnight. And the spaces she occupied during that transformation process now stand as silent witnesses to her courage. That's what makes the idea of staying in her properties so emotionally rich. It's not about luxury, it's about legacy. It's about walking in the footsteps of someone who chose joy over comfort, freedom over familiarity. Some fans have even started to write their own reviews, imaginary, yes, but full of love. "I can already feel the peaceful energy in her home," one fan posted on a Reddit thread. She made it through so much, and it shows in the way she decorates, in the light she lets in the softness of every detail.